Get ready.
So now I just want to go through the panniers that I have for the new BMW 1250. As you know, I came off the old liquid cooled 1200, so I had to get a new set of panniers that would fit the 1250 because the old ones wouldn't fit this new bike. So I opted to go with these Touratech EVO panniers. Now these are the latest panniers from Touratech. They'd be the next step on from the Zega Pros, which have been I suppose the workhorse of Touratech for many years. Very good cases, but these have taken over now, and they're very similar. There's just a few slight differences on it. The locking mechanism that locks it onto the bike has changed. It's a bit more simplified, but stronger and more robust to hold it onto the bike. It's more waterproof. These little strap-on clips here have changed slightly, and the other thing then on this, which is one of the really good features, is that it has these 4 mounting bolts. So these 4 mounting bolts are to hold a mounting plate that will allow you then to connect on things like water bottles or a fuel canister or oil, camping gear or a medical kit or something like that. So it just gives you that bit of extra capacity to hold liquids and that type of stuff without containing them within the pannier itself. Obviously you can then strap on some more luggage onto these rungs here, and Touratech sell specific bags that will fit exactly the size of this pannier, and it has a new locking mechanism that will allow you to connect all the keys to any of the boxes, and that key can also be coded to the Touratech toolbox that I've also bought that's separate, but you can actually get your key coded so that the one that works on the panniers will also work on the toolbox. The inside of it then, again, it has the strap to hold the lid in place when you've opened it. Inside it, there's these little rungs then that you can connect up a cargo net to hold things with inside, like your gloves and stuff like that. So it's very good. It's a good system. What I would say is that I went with the black ones. And I'd spoken to a few people beforehand, before purchasing these, and everybody had said that they didn't scratch very easily, because that was something I was concerned about. So I decided to go with the black over the silver, because I just think that the black looks better on the bike, and it does. But what I found to be the case is that this black paint absolutely does scratch very easily. Like I've only had these a few weeks now, and you can probably see there's some scratches here and here. And that's just from generally moving them around, or if you rest your keys on them, or if you rub against it with the zip on your jacket or anything like that. They're very easy to scratch. So if I had known they were that easy, to be honest with you, I probably would have gone with the aluminium, because they'll retain their looks over the years. These, I have a fear that they may become quite scratched up and shabby looking after a long period of time once they get enough scratches and scuffs on them. So if you're out there buying in the market for something like this, I'd recommend you highly go for the plain aluminium ones over the black. So what I might do is leave these for a while and then maybe see about maybe getting them powder coated or something like that. But other than that, they're a phenomenal case. Of course, they have the rubber protective cornering on them as well. So, overall a really, really nice case, very functional, and they do look great on the bike, but certainly be aware of that scratching. So the next item I want to talk about then is the SatNavs. So I'm between bikes at the moment, so it's kind of forced me to switch the SatNav devices that I've been using. So up until now, I've been using this TomTom Rider 410 with the preloaded 100 greatest routes on it. Same as the 400 model, but this has the preloaded routes. And this is a phenomenal piece of kit. It can be a little bit temperamental, booting up and all of that. It's a little bit slow. But once it's up and running, this is a fantastic SatNav. It connects to your phone, which then connects it to the traffic updates live. It tells you where the petrol stations are along your route. It tells you the time to your destination. You can plan routes on it as well, in terms of telling it to take you on winding routes, etc. if you're out for a fun spin on the motorbike. And you can even tell it to take you up different heights of mountains along your route. So it tries to make the ride for you as fun as possible. So this is a great thing. The other thing about this device is that it's unbelievably easy to use. Straight out of the box, you know, you don't even have to look at the manual. Very easy to use. The software that goes with this is the MyDrive, the TomTom MyDrive system, and it's a really good, solid piece of software. Very easy to use again. And if you use it in combination with another app that I use, which I'll go through in a while, called MyRoute-App, the beauty of that is that it allows you to plan your routes very similar to how you would do on Google Maps, and then send it immediately then to the device without doing any conversion to a GPX file. And I found that really, really powerful when you're on the road. So this new one here, that can be done, but it's a little bit more, you know, complicated than just doing it with the TomTom. But the MyDrive system is absolutely fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed using this SatNav. Now, the problem I'm going to have is that I have all my points of interest are all loaded onto this, built up over years, thousands of them across Europe and Ireland and the UK. And to try and transfer them to the new device, which is essentially it's a Garmin, I don't know how to do it yet electronically. So it looks like I may have to start building a whole new set of points of interest in this. Unless somebody out there knows how to do it, please get in touch. So I'm going to have to move over to this system. So this system now is the BMW's Navigator 6. BMW only takes the Navigator 5 or 6 models onto these bikes. It's the only SatNav that can connect to the little flywheel here that allows you to control the SatNav while you're on the move via the controls on the bike. And that's why I bought it, because I didn't want to have a separate unit that wasn't integrated with the bike. I probably could have got away with using this one, but this one is integrated. So it kind of forced you over. Now the problem with that is, as I said, I'll have to transfer or rebuild my point of interest database. But the other thing is they're extremely expensive. Like just for the SatNav alone without this mounting bracket is over €900, and I think it's very expensive for what it is. This is only about 400 or 450. The other thing is these BMW machines or the Garmins, I find anyway personally extremely cumbersome and difficult to use. As I said, this is very user friendly, very easy to find addresses and put your points of interest in. This is overly complicated, I think, for what it's needed to be. I know there's people out there who think that this is the best SatNav on the planet, and it probably is, and it probably does an awful lot more than this. But as a user experience, I just find this overly complicated. You have to go into menu within submenu to just find straight up locations you want to go. So for example, if I want to go to Dingle, I have to tell it I'm looking for a town rather than just typing in Dingle. I can just type Dingle into this and away we go. This I have to tell it I'm looking for a town, and I have to tell it that I'm looking for a town that's not in the area where me and the bike are currently positioned. The software with this then, the Garmin Basecamp, is unbelievably complicated as well. And I know there's going to be people out there saying, no, it's simple. But you, like I said with MyDrive, very intuitive. A 2-year-old could pick it up. With the Garmin Basecamp, it's extremely complicated piece of software. And again, I'm sure if you sat down and took the time and got some training on it, it does an awful lot more than the MyDrive. But for somebody who just wants to, do a quick map of a route, put in a few points of interest and then send it to the device, I just think it's overly complicated. So yeah, I mean, the other thing is I probably wouldn't have bought this had I realised that there's actually an app you can get for your phone that connects to the motorbike itself. And then that will then send a rudimentary GPS to this LCD screen on the motorbike. So if you're not using a GPS for, you know, planning, you know, large touring routes and stuff like that. If you just want something that takes you from point A to point B, the app is more than enough linked in with the LCD screen. So you don't have to go splashing out a huge amount of money for this Navigator. Again, as I said, very expensive, over €900, well over £1,000 if you're to include the bracket, etc., and have it installed if it's not already pre-installed. And I just don't see where the extra money goes over a device like this. I just don't see it. You know, I think it's just BMW at their best again of making people pay more over the odds for something because it has the BMW logo on it. You know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, those are my SatNavs. I'll do a separate section then on the actual software themselves so that I can walk you through, you know, the differences between them and why I feel personally that the MyDrive is a simpler, easier, more user-friendly experience over the Garmin and the BMW system. But like I said, I've only had this bike and this SatNav for a brief amount of time. I didn't have it long and we went on to this COVID-19 lockdown. I may be open to changing my mind as I get to use it a bit more and get into it and start playing around with it. So, you know, I don't want to write it off completely, but certainly for somebody who's never used this system before, I just find it overly complicated. So those are the SatNavs. So as I promised, I'd like to go through the different softwares that I've been using between the two different SatNavs that I have. So what I'm going to go through here will be the TomTom MyDrive Connect software, and then we'll have a quick look then at the Garmin Basecamp, and then finally we'll go through the one that I actually use the most, which is the MyRoute-App software. Now I'm not affiliated to any of these, you know, anything that I've got I've bought myself. And to be honest, I don't use them a huge amount. The one that I would use the most would be the MyRoute-App in conjunction with the SatNav itself. But I just wanted to go through why I feel the software behind each of the different systems for me are so vastly different in terms of the user experience and how easy they are. So you're looking at the screen here of the, I suppose, my account of MyDrive for the TomTom device. And so you can see all over Europe, all of these little blue stars are all points of interest that I've saved over the years. So they're either places that I have been to physically and I've saved the point, or perhaps they might be points that I've put in for future trips that I would like to go see. So everything here, so you can see all the points that I use for the North Coast 500 and so on, and then all the points that I've built up over the years within Ireland, and then the points that I've built up on my trips then over to the Alps and so on, and down in Italy. I haven't been to Norway yet or to Finland, but I've started to build the points for the trip, hopefully in the next year or two, and so I can start to build them on now. But as I said, because I've had to change over to the Garmin or the BMW device, I need to find a way to transfer all of these points of interest into my Garmin device electronically, because to try and rebuild this manually one at a time, it's just not feasible. So as you can see, the software itself is pretty straightforward. Your points of interest, so you can click on any point of interest and it'll tell you what it is. For example, I've clicked on that. That's a nice road in Belrow Road, or let's see, campsite here down in Kerry, Browhead, and so on. So they're quite straightforward, you know, and you can connect them then to build a route. But if I want to build a route within the app itself, I just go to the planner route, and in here I can type in anything. So if I type in Dingle, for example, County Kerry, and up comes all the Dingle things. So I can pick Dingle, County Kerry, and then I can pick my destination. Let's say we want to go to Bantry, and it brings up Bantry, Cork, and I just click on it, and boom, it plots a route. Now the other interesting thing about this is that on the settings here, you can see there's these three little mountain logos and then these three little windiness logos. So I can select how high the mountain roads I wanted to go on. So here it'll keep me on low roads. Here it'll be kind of middling, and here it'll take me up to the highest roads within the route that I'm taking. And then likewise here, I can dictate what way the route is going to be in terms of how windy it's going to make it, to try and make the ride a bit more fun and winding for a motorbike. Because obviously most motorbikers would like to take roads with an awful lot of corners in it just to have the fun of throwing the bike around the corners. So if you watch the route here, as I click on the most winding, you'll see the route changes and there's more turns and everything added into it. Or if I take out lower the hills, again it changes, and obviously it changes the route completely, adds in time, etc. So you need to be conscious of those things. I can tell it to just take the fastest route as well, which means it'll just take the most direct route, and it'll give you three options, and then you can select any of those options. And then if you want, you can start to move and tailor that route any way you want, just by clicking and dragging it to wherever you want. And you can build your route then, just putting in your start and finish point, and then build the route yourself manually by just dragging the route to wherever it is you want to go, whether it be to your points of interest or whatever. And then when you're finished, you just save it to My Routes. And anytime you save it to My Routes on your desktop, on your computer, that will then automatically save it to your TomTom device. So when you power up your TomTom device and it connects to your phone, it syncs with the MyDrive software, and any routes or points of interest that you've either built on the desktop on your computer or on the device get synced with each other, so that they're always aligned. And it's a really powerful little tool. The one drawback about using TomTom MyDrive is that there's no street view level on it. So I can't click on these roads and go down to street view level. But for me, that's the only drawback of the MyDrive. Other than that, it's an almost perfect, really simple, very straightforward route planning app for your TomTom device. Again, you can go here and you can have all your routes saved here, and it'll sort them by country, tell you where they are and the time and the distance that they are. And then again, it comes with preloaded routes, so it automatically knows I'm in Ireland, and it's telling me that it has a preloaded route onto the device of the ring of Kerry. So if I'm in Austria or Switzerland, I can go into the device and it'll bring up all the routes it has preloaded for that country that I'm in, and it'll bring you down the most famous routes for the area you're in, and it's just a really, really good little system. I think that's everything there. So that's what I'm saying. It's a very, very simple, easy little system to use, and I think for me it's far more easier than the Garmin Basecamp software. So if anyone out there knows how to transfer these points of interest easily over to a Garmin or BMW system, please reach out to me and let me know, because I'd really like to transfer them to the new device. So that's the TomTom MyDrive software. So we'll switch over now to the Garmin. So now we're looking at the Garmin Basecamp software, and straight off the bat you can see it's a much busier, more complicated screen. Even the map just looks overly complicated. You have this whole menu system up here, which looks like the menu system of Microsoft Excel, and then all this folder and waypoint system. Now, to be honest with you, I'm going to be totally upfront. I have no clue how to use this system. I really don't, and it's because I've sat down and tried to use it, and without going through a huge manual, which I'm sure I'll do at some point. It's just not as intuitive. I mean, you can clearly see the difference between this and the TomTom system that we just went through. The TomTom was very simple, very straightforward, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. In here, if I want to create a new route, let's say we want to go from Dingle to Bantry again. I'm assuming it's here. Look, it says new route is this icon here. I click on that. It brings up this another sub menu, and it says drag the start point here. But where am I dragging the start point from? I don't have a start point down here. I don't have a start point over here. Let's try and type in the word dingle. As you can see, nothing comes up. Let's try type it in here. Dingle, nothing comes up. Let's clear that out. You know, if I try to zoom in here, for example, let's try and find. Now you'll notice the icon, the mouse icon, is a pencil for some reason. So I can't even select something within the map and drag it to where they're asking me to drag it to. So now it's, I don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure if I sit down and spend a couple of hours reading through a manual, I'll figure it all out. But I really couldn't be bothered. You know, the TomTom, the minute it fired up, I knew exactly what to do. A 2-year-old could use it. This just seems way over-engineered and way too complicated. And like I said, previously when we were looking at the devices on the bike, I am sure the functionality of this system is vastly superior to the TomTom MyDrive, but I just couldn't be arsed to sit down and try and figure it out. You know, life's too short to try and go off and do a training course on how to use a SatNav route planning app. So like I said, I probably won't bother with this. If somebody knows a simple way how to create a simple route and to put in points of interest and build a library of routes, etc., by all means tell me what I'm missing and how stupid I am, you know. But at the moment, I'm just not going to bother with this piece of software. It's way too overly complicated. So with that, not knowing what I'm doing here, there's no point in me talking about it any further. I think you get my point. But I'll move on to the MyRoute-App, which is the one that I would use the most, and it can be used on any device. It doesn't matter if it's a TomTom or a Garmin. So now we're looking at the front menu here of the MyRule-App software that I use. And as you can see, one of the things I like about this is I can create folders for multiple different trips, or I can just have an individual route out here. But what I generally try to do to try and keep things organized is have a folder for each trip. So there's my folder for my NC 500 trip from last year, and then here's the folder for my now missed NC 500 trip for this year. And you can share these folders. You can make them either private or public and share the folders and the routes, etc., with friends, you know, online, and they can go in and they can download it and edit it or add to it, and you can collaborate over the same route, so that, you know, each of you can add in your own edit points and agree on them later. But it's a really powerful little tool. So if I go into a folder, for example, if I go into the NC 500, so what I do is I create one trip for each day. So there's my day 1, my day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and so on. And again, you can make each individual route public or private or not, and you can copy it, edit it, delete it, whatever you want to do. So if I click into an individual route to have a look, you'll see what it's like. So you can see this was going from Ullapool here right up along the northwest coast of Scotland up to John O'Groats and then back to the hotel here in Thurso, I believe it is. And it has all the waypoints here. So each one of these waypoints is where I plan to stop, or there's something that I want to take a photograph of, or maybe I want to get the drone over it or whatever. The other good thing about this is it's very similar to Google Maps. So on here I can go in and I can change this to a terrain view here, and then I can use that then to see where the mountains are, and I can go in and see where the best roads are. The other thing I do is when I'm planning a route like this is I click this, and then this shows me all the routes, and then from here along my route I can see where there may be an interesting curvy road, or for example that one that might go down along a lake. And then that way, just from the comfort of your seat at home, you can find roads that are along the route that may not necessarily have been advertised. So for example, the Glenatee Valley, that's how I found that. It is off the NC 500 route, but I just clicked this on, and then I looked for interesting little roads along there. And then the beauty of this, as I said, is you can go into street level. So here, for example, if I just click on that, that will bring me into street view. And then from street view, I can ascertain whether it's worth the effort to go down the road or not. Clearly, that's definitely a road that would be worth the effort. As you can see, the views there are beautiful. It still has the map view in, and then when I'm ready, I just click back, and then it brings me back to the map view, and then I can drag the route down onto that point and add it into the route. So when I'm finished with the route in its entirety, I'll just save it here. Now this is where it gets quite clever. Up on the menu system, it's just off screen. You'll see I'll drop it down here, and I can save it as either a GPX route or a TPF or a KML or a KMZ route, or just a CSV, and so on, PDF even if I wanted to. But the beauty about this with the TomTom is it has this system here, which is called TomTom MyDrive. And when you click on that, it just asks for your MyDrive login details. And when you put them in, it will send this route and automatically do the GPX conversion straight to your MyDrive. And as I said in the earlier video about the MyDrive, anything that's saved to MyDrive is automatically saved to the device. So if I send it to the MyDrive from here, that will now be on my device. Once I power it up and link it to my phone, it will sync it up, and then I can just go into the TomTom, bring up the route, and away I go. And that's why I was saying this is extremely powerful. Now, what I have found is that you can, if you want, save this as a GPX route to your phone, and then from your phone you can send it through the Garmin app to your Garmin for the BMW Navigator. It's a little bit more long-winded, but it gets the same result. Now, I haven't tried it out on the road. I know, for example, on this, the conversion over to GPX is very good. You have very few issues with it when you're actually on the road in terms of it deviating off the route. So I'll have to hold the jury on whether it works with the Garmin device as well. So hopefully when we get on a trip after this lockdown is finished, I'll get more experience of that. But as I said, this is a phenomenal little system. Now, you do have to pay for this. There's a free version, or you can pay for it monthly to get all the features, or you can pay an annual fee. When I bought it, it was relatively inexpensive. It was about 90 euros for the lifetime license on it. I think it's gone up to nearly 350 euros now for the lifetime license, but you can pay for it monthly. But what I would say is the free version does have pretty much most of the functionality that you would need. To be honest with you, I think you could do 90% of what you need to be done in the free version. So it's well worth downloading it. This is the desktop version. There's an app for the phone as well. But it's a really, really powerful little app. Like I said, you can then organize things and share things with people that you want. And keep them on here and edit them at any time. You can edit them on the phone or on the laptop as you go. But this would be the main app that I would use to plan all my routes, save them here, organize them, and then I can download them from the phone at any time, or send them straight to the device from here. So if you have any questions on any of this, don't be afraid to reach out to me. But as I said, I would use this over both the MyDrive and the I certainly don't use the Garmin Basecamp. The one thing I haven't figured out is how to get the points of interest from my TomTom into this, because it would be handy when you're in a route, for example, to see the points of interest that I've already got on the device, so that I would know if I'm going from point A to point B, were there any points of interest that I've already got loaded on my machine that might be worth a visit again during that route, that might be along the route. So that's something I need to figure out if it's possible to do. But yeah, that's the software that I use. This would definitely be the primary one that I would use for planning. So let's talk about the tank bags that I currently have. So I have 2 tank bags at the moment. The latest one that I bought is this givi, small little tank lock bag. It's a hard kind of shell on it, and it's a really good little day pack, although I suppose you could use it on the longer trips as well. It has a little space here for your mobile phones, and a little bit of space in there. Then there's a little pocket here for your shades, bits and bobs in there. Like I'll carry my visor cleaner. I also carry this helmet lock, which is another recent buy that I've just got, just to lock the bike, the helmet to the bike if you need to leave the bike for any time. And just keep your bits and bobs in there. There's a little pocket in here to keep your other bits and bobs in it. I can't remember how much I paid for this. I'll post it up here on the screen. But this is a nice little neat unit, and I can transfer that. I bought 2 rings for each bike, so I can transfer it between the Blackbird or onto the BMW. And it's really nice. But the one thing I would say about it is, if I can just click it off, excuse me, it comes off, so you can see it's not, that's the holder there. You just pull this, and that grabs onto this ring here that's on the tank. What I did find is, on both the Blackbird and on the BMW, that when you you have to take out the screws in your petrol cap and put in the new screws for this. And I found on both bikes it leaves a gap, a noticeable gap on the holes. And what I'd be worried about there is, over time, water coming in, particularly if it's raining and water falls down over this, it might just trickle down and into those holes and start to rust it out, or get into the fuel tank somehow. But I haven't seen any tank ring system that doesn't do that. So overall, it's pretty good. Now, I have ordered a new tank bag. It's one of the Touratech ones specifically for this bike. I bought that one without a tank ring. That'll just be strapped onto the tank with a soft liner on the back, and I'll do a review on that when I get it. But I just wanted to get away from these tank rings for the BMW in particular, because I'm just paranoid about those gaps within the fuel ring to allow water in. But other than that, this is a good little system, very neat, and your phone fits in there nicely, so you can see your phone when you're on the move, if you get texts or calls, right, like that. And particularly if your phone is connected to your Bluetooth helmet, you can see what's coming up, and you can still press and control the keypad. So really good little tank bag. So this is the other tank bag that I have, and this is the SW Motek City bag. I had this for the old BMW, and I like the looks of this as a bag. You know, I think it looks good. It's a good size on the outside, but funnily enough, it's kind of like a reverse TARDIS, where it looks huge on the outside but has very little space on the inside. This is a powered bag, so there's the tank ring that comes with this, is connected via cable down to the battery. So when you connect the bag to the ring, it becomes a powered, and then you can charge your devices in it. What I would say about that is that the tank ring, which was supposed to be bike specific, which I bought for the GS 1200 through the dealership, didn't fit it properly. You know, this would not bed down properly onto the ring, and so the dealership that I bought the SW Motek bag from had to manually insert little washers to raise the tank ring to allow this to click on properly, which for a bike, a tank ring that's engineered specifically for that specific bike, I think is just mind-boggling that they'd engineer it that way. The other thing was that the cable that went into the tank ring degraded very quickly. It rusted and it snapped, and then to try and get a replacement one was next to impossible. They don't sell them individually. You have to contact the factory, and these aren't cheap. I think the bag alone was about 350 euros. The tank ring was about another 100 to 150 euros, and then fitting it and everything. So it's an expensive bag. The other thing I would say is that when you fit the tank ring for the SW Motek, you have to replace the petrol cap ring on it as well. And I found that when I put in the SW Motek cap, that any time I washed the motorbike, water was getting in and around the well, around the mouth of the fuel tank. Not getting into the fuel, but around the well and then draining out. But I just didn't feel safe with that happening. As I mentioned with the other tank bag, all of the holes, when you replace with these mounting bolts, have a little gap on them as well. So, you know, again, for something that's engineered specifically for that bike, I thought that was very poor. Overall, I wouldn't buy an SW Motek bag again. These powered ones, I think the rings and the powering of them is just, you know, it's not worth the effort. I think you're better off buying an unpowered bag similar to this, which is what I've done. Hopefully that'll be delivered when this lockdown is lifted. And then just run a cable from the dash into the bag. Most of these bags these days, even this one has a little rubber hole that you can run a cable into the bag rather than having a bespoke powered ring into it. But it's a pity because it's a good looking bag and it's very functional, you know, and it's you know, it's been with me on an awful lot of trips. I'll be sad to see it go, but the new one I've bought, as I said, I'll do a review on it, is actually quite similar in shape and style to this, but it just won't have the tank lock system on it. It'll be strapped onto the tank. So yeah, that's the tank bags. Okay. So another item that I've recently started to use is a battery optimizer. With the two bikes in here, particularly during the winter season when I'm not using them so much, particularly the Blackbird here, after the winter is over, the bikes are often have had their batteries depleted. So I've just recently invested in this Aqsa Miser 888. It's made by Oxford. And just by plugging it in here, I can keep it connected to the battery at all times. If the battery is completely depleted or very low, it'll blow on a full charge. And if the battery is pretty much full, it'll automatically switch it over to a trickle charge. And it just keeps the battery topped up. It just means then that I can come in at the end of the winter season and the bike should just fire straight up. Not so easy with the BMW. The new BMWs, the battery is totally concealed and sealed within a case. And I don't know if connecting up the cables for one of these might invalidate the warranty, so I haven't connected it to the GS yet at all. So far I'm only using it here on the Blackbird, but it's a great little device. They're only about 40 or 50 euros, and you just plug it in and away you go. But what I would say is the connectors. I bought two sets of connectors because I had planned to install one set on each bike. But both connectors, the one that I got with it and then the secondary one that I bought, I found that the connecting nodes on them very, very flimsy, and they won't connect properly when you're trying to plug them into each other. Very low quality on that. So I might, if I was buying this again, I might spend the extra few quid and go on a slightly better quality model than this. But for the moment, this is certainly going to just do the job that I need it to do. But handy little thing to have. So another little item that I like to use, I have one on each bike here, is a Throttle Rocker. It's literally just this little piece of plastic here, and it's very cheap, about 10 euros. You'll get them in any of the motorbike shops, or you can buy them on Wish, the little Wish app on your phone. But it's just a little piece of plastic that clips onto the throttle of the motorbike. Now, a lot of people would buy these to use them for almost like a cruise control if you didn't have cruise control in your bike. Now this bike does have cruise control, but I still find the Trotter Rocker is very good because I don't use the cruise control on the smaller back roads and the twisties. So I still find this extremely good for just resting your palm on it. It means that you don't have to constantly have your hand gripped around the throttle and pulling it back. It basically turns the throttle into like a pedal, and you can press down with it on your palm, and it just keeps your hand, you know, from getting tired and strained along here, you know. It is very, very good, particularly on long journeys, you know, and for the sake of 10 euros, it's a cheap and inexpensive little addition to put onto the bike. The one thing I would say about it is there is a danger to them, which I've found on a couple of occasions. If you hit a pothole, a deep pothole, in any kind of speed, what will happen is that your palm will be automatically pressed down onto the throttle rocker, and it will make you inadvertently throttle off, and it could cause an accident. So they could be potentially dangerous. It's just something to be aware of. If you feel that the surface of the road is very bad and has potholes in it, you can just turn it up and it takes it off, and you're back to just standard throttle. but it's a very handy little tool. Again, inexpensive little item that you can get anywhere. Yeah, that's Throttle Rocker.